Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Gavel Drop with Vicki and Lori, where true crime meets real talk. We're diving into the toughest cases, the biggest questions, and the stories that keep us thinking long after the gavel drops. Please join the chat and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an episode. So, are you ready to buckle up and let's get started? We're going to look at three different cases today that are currently in the news. And we're going to start with Laken, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Snelling. And so some key facts about Laken Snelling is she's a 21-year-old student from the University of Kentucky, and she was a member of their stunt team. And so what this case is about is on August 27th of 2025, an infant was discovered in an off-campus residence in Lexus, Kentucky. And so when they found this baby, this infant was in the closet and it was wrapped in a towel and placed inside a black trash bag inside this Snelling's home. And so she was go ahead and she was arrested on August 31st on 2020 and has been charged. So this is just so crazy to think that this girl who was a senior with her whole life ahead of her, supposedly has had this baby, not sure whether it was born alive or stillborn, and she just put it in the closet. So her charges that she'd been charged with is abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant. Which is just crazy. I don't know if you followed any of this yet, Vicki, or not.
Yeah, there hasn't been too much yet because I think they're still doing the autopsy.
Yes,
to figure out.
The preliminary is done, but the manner of death is still inconclusive. She did admit to giving birth and cleaning up the scene, including placing this baby in a trash bag. And you had mentioned this to me, Vicki. It's crazy because didn't you say there was a new drop-off, like just down the street from her where she could have taken this baby to?
Yeah, around the country in the U.S., usually at fire stations, there's
Yes.
something called a safe haven box. So if you give birth and you don't want the baby, which is crazy, but if you don't want the baby, you can take them and drop them off at the fire station in that box, and the box is monitored.
Mm-hmm.
And no charges. You're not going to face any legal consequence of that. So they had just put one in within that year, and it was just 10 minutes from her house.
Yeah.
So if she didn't want the baby, she could have just taken the baby there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just totally crazy. So just a minute here. Scrolling, learning to use my computer. So what was kind of interesting too, when they had taken her into custody, she did ask to be checked out by medical personnel after giving birth to this child. She didn't bother to do that after the fact, but she did ask to be checked out after giving birth. She wanted to be released or requesting to be released, and they did release her under house arrest. Of course, she is no longer enrolled at Tennessee there, her college there. So she's lost all of that. She is staying with her parents, and she was released on $100,000 bond. And she has pled not guilty to all charges in her initial appearance. This girl, she was a senior in college. My goodness, it's just, just unbelievable to think, what was going through her mind.
Yeah.
At that time to think that was okay, you know.
Yeah, I have no idea what was going through her mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Safe Haven baby boxes. It was 10 minutes from her residence.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they're not able to tell with this preliminary autopsy. They don't know if the baby took a breath. So that's going to be kind of key in this, if they're able to go in there and determine whether or not its lungs expanded, if it had taken a breath, or was it stillborn. And they're not really saying, they're not giving her statement as to, or at least I haven't seen any as her statement to, what was the condition of this child? Was it born early? Did something happen? Did she, fall down doing the stunt and caused a miscarriage? They're really not, I haven't seen really a lot of information on her as far as their case against her and what evidence they've had. But she does go back into court on the 26th. She does have a hearing to go before the judge. What's the date today? I don't even know the date.
25. So yesterday.
Today's the 25th.
Yeah.
So she goes into court tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 26.
Yes, she will be in court tomorrow. And hopefully, maybe we will get some further information on what, maybe what they know. But it's a preliminary hearing in Fayette County Court. So nothing on that yet. I mean, this baby was in this bag in her closet for a pretty long time. It wasn't like it had happened that day.
Yes, correct. It had been several hours.
Yeah.
We were that day, but it had been several hours. Like she didn't have the baby and then call somebody.
Yeah. Hey,
I mean, you never know.
Regina. Hi, Tony. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here.
You never know what goes through somebody's mind, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of unbelievable. And this is just one of the story. And unfortunately, from what I've seen in the news, there's just been a lot of cases here recently all over the country involving children. It's like, what in the heck is going on in people's minds? So that's just a quick update that I have on Laken. I think it's Laken Snelling.
Laken
Snelling, 21-year-old student, University of Kentucky. Lost it all. I mean, it's done for her. I mean, she's really damaged her life. And it sounds like it was a hidden pregnancy, but she also had some like Snapchats that made it sound like, or that she was pregnant and doing, showing like baby clothes or a future engagement with that. So I'm pretty sure her parents didn't know anything about it. And it sounds like a lot of her inner circle didn't really know she was pregnant. I did see a video of her doing, some stunt work, and she definitely looked like she had the old baby pooch going on. But again, that's hard to say there too. And I think other too is they don't know who the father is, or it hasn't been released who the father of this child was, and whether or not they knew about it.
And I guess he could the father press charges on her?
I don't know, because
I mean, let's say she did technically murdered the baby.
Yeah.
I mean, the state's going to charge her, but he would definitely have civil charges he could
Yeah,
throw at her.
I don't know about that because I mean, with it being a pregnancy, it falls under that her body, her choice.
But the baby was born.
But they don't know if it took a breath.
And she didn't have an abortion.
It's such a fine gray line.
No.
That'll be interesting to see how it plays. And we'll definitely have to give an update on that when we get some more really released information, and because we can speculate and assume what her thoughts are and why this happened, or because I keep thinking, I'm like, okay, she was a stunt cheerleader. I mean, maybe it was an accidental, something happened and she got hurt and it was accidental, but why cover it up? Why would you cover that up if you got hurt and you went into labor? Wouldn't you call 911? Wouldn't you go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Whether you were hiding it or not, whether your parents knew or not, wouldn't you go do this?
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind that?
Yeah.
I mean, because she's obviously a smart girl. I mean, she's a senior in college. Pretty girl, very pretty girl too. I mean, it's just, it's amazing what go through people's minds.
And sadly, she's not the first one.
No.
You don't, I mean, it's not common, but it's not uncommon either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like I said, if you're watching the news or you're watching court cases or upcoming cases that, it's just, there's so many involving children. You got baby Emmanuel. There's just multiple ones. And being a mom, it's just beyond me that, something like that could take place. But anyway, so as more information comes out on that, we'll continue to follow, and we'll pop in on an update if something, significantly new comes out, if we have a better understanding of what was going through her mind. Do you have anything to add to that?
Nope. I think that's it until she goes to the hearing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Interesting. Very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So do you want to intro our second case?
The next one is David. Everybody is talking about David's known worldwide. He is an upcoming R&B artist. Hopefully, stays the term and not was. But have you guys heard of David? If you've heard of him, David, let us know in chat.
Yes. Hi, Killer. Thank you for joining us.
He's either I was telling Lori, he's either the unluckiest man on the face of this planet, or he is guilty as sin. But just like everybody we talk about, they are innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
There are so many coincidences in this case. So David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, he owned a Tesla. And that Tesla was found abandoned on a street in California on September 8th. Mm-hmm. So, 3 weeks ago. David was nowhere to be found. I think he was in Europe at the time, doing a concert. Neighbors said, hey, this car's been sitting here and we think it's abandoned. So yes. The police came and they towed the car. They towed it to an impound lot. And it sat there until the employees at the impound lot started to, the smell coming out of this Tesla was pretty severe. So they called the police. When the police got there and they opened the frunk of the Tesla, because the trunk is in the front of the car on a Tesla. Yeah. When they opened it, they found a body. And it was a body of a 15-year-old. She had just turned 15, I believe, the day they found her.
Yeah.
Her name is Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She was in the frunk of that Tesla. She was in a bag. And there's a lot of speculation on the internet. But that also that her body had been dismembered. And it had been in the trunk 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
And
heard any like really confirming reports that it absolutely was dismembered, other than it was just decomposing. So I haven't been able to really say yes or no on that.
yeah, it's a speculation.
Yeah.
This is to skip ahead a little bit, but her body was just released back to the family yesterday. So
Yeah.
that means that the autopsy is done and they should have a cause of death, which they've not released yet. And we'll
Mhm.
get more information on that, I would say, in the next few days. They're not going to sit on that.
What is
Her,
so sad about it too? Okay, so you got this young girl, she's 15. Her family, so when she was 14, April 5th of 2024, her family filed a missing persons report for her. So she was a runaway. um and it seems like there's been multiple times, that she has gone missing or reported missing more than once in at least 2024, up until this time period where she ran away and they reported her missing.
yeah. So I saw Tony said now he's interested. So yeah, look him up. You spell his name D, capital D, the number 4, the capital V as in victory, and D as in David. That's how you spell his name. You could find him pretty much anywhere. He's got a channel on YouTube with all his songs. His biggest hit song was called Romantic Homicide. And it depicts the murder of a groom and the murdered bride on the bed. And the groom's covered in blood. Kind of creepy. He also wrote a song back in 2023. Anyone want to guess what the name of that song was? Y'all type too slow. The name of that song was Celeste. What a coincidence.
Yeah, huge coincidence.
I don't know that he could ever say he didn't know this girl. I don't know. They both also had matching tattoos on their fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And the tattoos, you know how when you put your middle or your first finger up to your lips and you say shh. So the tattoos were S like HHH.
Yeah.
These two people knew each other.
They did. Well, and weren't you telling me that she went, like she was, when she ran away, wasn't it on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I'll get to that. So check his videos out. I don't know. There's a lot of telling stuff in the videos. So
Yeah, that's not my style of music. I had never heard of this guy. Completely new to me. It's just because that's not what I choose to listen to.
Yeah.
So I didn't know really anything about him.
Yes. So after they found her body, of course they checked the car. They found out it was registered to David. This had been announced or leaked to media that this body was found in a car registered to David. He's in Europe. That doesn't bring him home. He doesn't cancel what he's doing and fly home. And then they were able to identify the girl, and they say it's Celeste Rivas Hernandez. That still is not enough to bring him home. He's still in Europe performing. Wow. So you have this information that a dead body's in your car, and it's somebody that you know, and you just stay in Europe. He did not come home to the United States until the LAPD served a warrant at his house, his mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and they tossed his mansion. And they took out all kinds of electronics. That was when he decided he should come home. Just weird. Very, very, very weird.
They also terminated the lease on that home, so he's had to move out of it after that raid. So, I mean, like, did he come home because he was actually concerned, or did he come home because he got booted out of his house?
No, he canceled the lease. He and his manager canceled the lease just, I think, last week. They said that he couldn't live there anymore with everything going on. I'm sure that there's lots of media out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So he canceled the lease, and apparently the rumors are he's just been hanging out and playing video games. His moniker in, I can't remember which, Roblox was one of the games, and I don't remember the other one, but his moniker has been spotted in the game.
Yeah.
That's been reported, but was it him? Maybe, maybe not. He was a gamer. He had a Discord channel, which we spoke about.
We did.
He wasn't like a huge star yet. He was a guy who was just starting to build that. And I think he probably started things like his Discord before he became well known.
Yeah.
He also had a subreddit channel, which he personally moderated, which he's since shut down because everybody in his subreddit channel started asking all these questions. And he would delete anything that made him look bad.
Yeah.
And he recently just shut down the subreddit and has disappeared from that part of the internet.
So speaking about the Discord, I had read a report that this Celeste, when she was 11, actually had reached out to him when before he became big, and she was wanting tickets, and so he had some kind of interaction with this girl since she was 11 years old, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was all over my boy when he was that age. I knew everything he was doing.
But the thing is like we talked about, even back when we were young and kids like Backstreet Boys or New Kids on the Block,
yeah,
they were quote unquote adult men. They were probably in their 20s, and they had 7-year-olds flocking around them. You when you're famous, you will often have, and on a Discord, it wouldn't be that unheard of for them to have contact. We don't know whether he ever had an inappropriate relationship with her.
But
it's
inappropriate to have a grown man, any kind of relationship with an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old.
But you don't always know on a Discord who you're talking to. And Celeste now this is when she's 11, but right now they found that she had several fake IDs that depicted her as being 18 and 20 something. So the question is, did he even know that she was underage?
Yeah.
We don't know that he knew. She did look older for her age. I did not look like her when I was 14.
No.
She's very, very pretty, but she did look pretty mature for her age, in my opinion.
Kids nowadays look like they're 12 and they look like they're 25.
Yeah. The thing about the Tesla too, and look, the LAPD is being very quiet.
Yes.
And that is the appropriate thing to do for them. They're detectives, they're investigators. They need to gather all the evidence, not leak any of it out, and they need to build a case for the prosecution so that the prosecution can then do their job. So that's pretty much why they're being so quiet. And a lot of things that we're hearing are coming from internet sleuths who are out there, working their fingers and digging up pictures and correlating things for us. So somebody had said, and I didn't know this, but that a Tesla is often a pretty stolen car. And so Musk, he had put in an extensive camera system in Teslas. So it will be interesting to see what the Tesla recorded.
It's going to be really interesting because we had even speculated, okay, he left town. He was on this tour. She didn't go. Did she take the car? Was she driving around town and got into a bad situation? But it doesn't look really good when the car is parked out in front of your manager's house, because that house that they towed the vehicle from has a direct connection to him. His manager or somebody within his network was living in that home. It wasn't just a random house.
In my opinion, nothing looks good for him.
Yeah,
there are so many coincidences that if you tied them all together, you would shut the cell door. But again, the guy's innocent.
Yeah.
These things at this point are strictly coincidences. And
he
hasn't been tied to anything.
Can they even get an approximate time of death? Do they know it's roughly around, when was the last time somebody had seen her? Was he even here in the country?
It was the end of August, and he was, I believe. Yeah, that's what I had heard.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. The timeline of where he was at in this tour. Was he even in the country when this happened? Is it somebody in his inner circle that did this?
He has supposedly canceled all of his future tour dates, but today I heard that he still actually has tour dates in Australia for December.
Oh,
so
wow.
Kind of what that says to me is like he feels like whatever happens is he's going to get off, and he's still going to be touring in December. Everything else before then is canceled.
Yeah. Hi, Scully.
So, hey, Scully.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, that timeline. Was he even in the country? If he wasn't in the country, he obviously didn't do it. But that doesn't mean he doesn't know who did it, or there isn't a connection within his network of people that did this while he was gone.
Yeah. And he's made no public statements.
Nope.
His attorneys and like his team state that he is cooperating with authorities.
Yeah.
What that means, I don't know. But the LA Times has also reported that he has retained a legal counsel.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're completely innocent, you definitely need a lawyer in this situation.
You'd be foolish not to have one to traverse the legal system, on how to handle that.
Yeah. And bringing it back to that, Celeste, she had run away 3 times before. And the first 2 times, she was gone maybe 2 to 3 days, and then she always returned home.
Yeah.
But they also know that at least one of those times that she ran away, of the first 2, she was seen in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
Which is where David ended up renting, believe it or not, a mansion that Halle Berry used to live in. So it's quite the mansion. I think his monthly rent, everybody hold on to your chairs. His monthly rent for that mansion was $20,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
That is crazy.
That's crazy. Speaking of the mansion, and this one, I'm not even going to say it. There's just so much speculation and rumor out there. I'm just going to leave that one off the table.
Oh, come on, drop it. Drop it like the gavel.
Right. So I put this together. I'm very sure other people have, but I mentioned at the beginning of this, he wrote a song called Celeste. And that song first showed up on YouTube or wherever on the internet in December of 2023. So the very end of 2023, he writes a song named Celeste. Now she would have been 13.
Yes.
Maybe going on 14. I'm not sure what her actual birth date is, but she was still very much underage. So he writes a song. Maybe he knows another Celeste.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know anybody named Celeste. Yeah. Little clue. And here's the thing. He signs the mansion, the lease for the mansion in the Hollywood Hills. He signs that 2 months later, February of 24. Writes a song end of 23, signs a lease in the Hollywood Hills, February of 24. Guess what happens next? Celeste, on February 14th of 2024, is the first time she ran away from home. Valentine's Day, right after he moves into the Hollywood Hills, and 2 months earlier, he wrote a song called Celeste. There's a lot of coincidence there.
So that was in February. And then is it March? Yeah.
No,
So in
no,
March of
no.
2024,
It's
that's
April. What?
um I was just scrolling back here. I was trying to see if it was in March of 2024 is when the parents had her missing.
No, it's
Missing.
April 5th
Oh,
of
April 5th, excuse
24
me.
of 2024.
So a month later, 2 months, a month later,
Yes.
month and a half later.
Yes. She runs away again, and that's the last time she runs away. So from April until now, just the beginning of September, she was not living with her parents. She had ran away. She was by her, we can speculate as to where she was living.
Yeah.
So
That's just so sketchy. I mean, there's just way too many coincidences. There's just way too much for that.
People are also questioning because I believe it was the first time she ran away, February 14th of 2024. She did return home on her own, but they knew, I guess she was spotted in the Hollywood Hills. And the other time she ran away she was also spotted in the Hollywood Hills. She runs away a third time in April. If you know where your kid's running away to, why wouldn't you go get them? Get into that area and really look and bring her butt home, right? You could have called the police and said, hey, this is my daughter. We're reporting her missing. We think she's here.
Well, yeah, because we had that conversation. Runaways, they pick you up. The police are looking for you.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not like I was a young girl, right? I was 11, 12, 13 years old, and I liked different singers and had posters on my wall. I didn't have tattoos like them, but I mean, she had a lot of signs that I don't think her parents wouldn't have been able to tell that she was infatuated with David. Right? Yeah. What does that tattoo mean? And who's this poster on your wall? Or what music are you listening to? They have to know. They knew he lived there. I would have said, look, you need to go check this guy's house.
Yeah. Well, the parents did state that they knew that she had an older boyfriend. Yeah. And his name was David.
That's correct. Yeah.
So they do know.
So why didn't the police go? And, I don't know. I also heard, and, this could be a political thing, just wherever I read it, but they have said that the LA Police Department has had a lot of force cuts. Just being understaffed. I mean, yeah, it is a shame, but things do fall through the cracks. And by no means am I blaming her parents. These were parents that every time she ran away, they reported her missing.
They reported it.
They wanted her back home.
Well, it's not even so. I mean, obviously, this girl at 14 years old is not in school. She's not attending school.
No. They don't really have truant officers anymore, I don't think.
I think it falls to the parents. You're required by law for your kid to attend school. Yeah. So, as far as, not being in school, these multiple reports, like a connection, of having information, like knowing that it's an older gentleman and his name is David, could they have gotten into her Discord? Could they have, how do you, as a parent, how do you track down your kid? Yeah. With today's technology and all the stuff that kids have access today that we didn't have to have when we were younger.
But there are parental controls on every device. So they could have set those. Every device, whether it's your computer, whether it's your cell phone, your tablet, they all have parental controls.
Yes.
Parents can get into the kids' accounts. They can set what they can and cannot look at, where they can go. And then there's also a history of everywhere your kid's been. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that information probably would have been pretty helpful, but a little too late, I'm guessing. So, yeah, for all we know, we don't know anything. Actually, we just know a lot of pieces and coincidences that all tie together, but we truly do not know who murdered her. She didn't murder herself. You can't murder yourself and get into a garbage bag. So
Yeah.
somebody is responsible for her death, and hopefully the autopsy will shed a little bit of light onto that. I don't
Yes.
know. I could even, well, yeah, no, I don't know. I was going to say I could even see the police maybe knowing who did it, but sitting on it until the autopsy was done.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know. But what we do know is that we don't know. That's it. So we're going to keep following this one. Like I say, autopsy just released the body. I would say tomorrow or Monday, I would think there'd be a press conference. So we'll know a lot more. There could even be an arrest as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, again, she didn't die of natural causes. So you're going to have to arrest somebody,
Yeah.
right? And we all pretty much know who it is. And if it is who we think it is, they're
Yeah.
not going to sit on that arrest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they got somebody tailing that guy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of money. He has a lot of resources. I don't think unless you're under arrest, like they can't say you have to surrender your passport or, the police just can't do that. So
Yeah.
he could take off at any time.
Yes.
So we will just wait. Let's just hope he is the unluckiest man on the world and all this is wrong. But even still, we have to find out who did this to her because nobody deserves that.
No, no. And I mean, and her family and, having her missing and not knowing where she's at and then getting that phone call. Whether it's such a public case or not, it could have just been a regular case that we don't even hear about. But I cannot imagine the pain
No.
that would come along with losing your child.
Yeah.
Especially to a violent crime. And like I said, the autopsy is complete, but they have not given any kind of information on cause of death. As far as those findings of that autopsy, they're keeping that all under wrap.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tony, we will. We'll definitely update as we know, whether we do that in a video or whether we do that on a post. But yeah, if you've never heard of him, and now that you have some information on him, go watch some of his videos. I hadn't watched him till this morning, and he is a brilliant singer. He's an artist. I only listened to like 4 of them, and there is singing, but there's also poetry in those words. So it's a little mind blowing. I definitely go recommend watching them.
Yeah, not my kind of music, but that doesn't mean he wasn't talented.
Yeah, but you should watch the videos.
Yeah, I watched
They are crazy.
The first one or his breakout. I did watch that, and very, very dark, very.
They're considered dark romance, and I'm not sure. I mean, romance to me is definitely not blood and knives and but I mean, maybe to some people it is. We all have an angsty period in our life.
Yeah.
So, all right, that is it on David.
All right. So our third one for the day is a little bit tough because it's pretty controversial, and we're just going to go through this, and we're going to talk about what happened, and we'll give the evidence and what the charges and things are, and from a human side, from a human and not a political point. But our last case of the day, because it is so big in the news, is Charlie Kirk's assassination. So as we all know, on September 10th of 2025, he was shot and killed, Charlie Kirk, while speaking at an outdoor event in Utah. It was part of a comeback tour organizing by Turning Point USA. So we'll just, that's who we're talking about. We're not going to go into, what he did and his career and all of that, and just move on to who the suspect is. And so the suspect is a Tyler Robinson. He was 22 years old, resided in Washington County, Utah, and he was going to electrical apprenticeship at the Dixie Technical College. And, you know, he was very opinionated in his beliefs as well as his family, with how there was that division there. And so as far as like evidence and things that they found, which it's been all through the news and we've all seen it, with him being on the rooftop and them finding the bullets and the gun and searching for him and whatnot, of what the planning and the things that he did. And he was big into Discord too, and talking with people on Discord, a group, with the same opinions and things that he had. But they believe that he targeted Kirk because, of his beliefs and what he felt Kirk stood for. There was a lot of texts. He texted, to his friend, his roommate, in which he admitted being the shooter and expressed frustration over these views. And me and Vicki, we talked about that a lot. He was pretty descriptive in his text messages with his roommate, and talking about what he did. And the roommate just kept asking him, why did you do this? And, all this stuff, because, as his roommate, he was probably just horrified that he did that. And then he left a letter there too. Of course, with the physical evidence, with all of this, well, here, let me back up here. Got a little bit too far ahead of myself. So he had written a note under the keyboard that had said he had taken out an opportunity. He had an opportunity to take him out, and he was going to go take it. Their evidence that they do have on him is they have, of course, the matching DNA that they found, on the rifle, on the building, on the bullets. There's a lot of DNA evidence. This rifle belonged to his grandfather. And I can't imagine, as a parent, and you're looking on the TV screen and they're showing the picture of this rifle, and, as the grandfather going, "Oh my God, that's my rifle." How do you deal with that? And then starting the phone calls to find out what is going on. In the messages with his roommate, he did talk about needing to retrieve this rifle. And it kind of sounded to me, in my opinion, he was more concerned about getting that rifle back so his grandfather and his dad didn't know it was missing, versus what he had did.
Yeah.
That's his focus was on, like, oh my gosh, that's a $1,200 scope on this rifle. I got to get this back, versus I just, committed this horrific crime.
Oh, he definitely did not care that he committed the crime.
No. They were able to round him up pretty fast. I believe I heard they said it was 33 hours. And he did, I believe he went and talked with his parents, and then the neighbor, who was with the sheriff's department, or a retired sheriff, helped him surrender to the police. Because of all things, he did feel like he didn't want to get shot. So he wanted a peaceful surrender. Have you guys?
Hold on. He didn't want to get shot?
Yeah. He made that
Does
statement.
he not know what the death penalty is in that state?
I know, right?
Yeah, they have the firing squad, so you're going to get shot.
Yeah. He was. He wanted a peaceful surrender because he was worried about getting shot.
That's hysterical, actually.
It is kind of crazy to think, but he did surrender, and they're kind of following through now. And I believe he's opened up and he's starting to talk a little bit. But again, he is facing multiple charges, including aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, causing serious body injury, violent offense in the presence of a children. There was children there. I know there's a video. Me and Vicky had this discussion. There's actually a video out there that very shows up close what happened, and it is pretty horrific to see that. Very, very, very graphic video of Charlie Kirk getting shot. As
So
Vicky,
so it's definitely not a video we recommend anybody go seek out.
no,
by any means.
it's very graphic. I'm surprised it's still out there that you can see it. Because it is a very, very graphic, up close video, and like I said, you see.
Yeah, we don't need to go into it, but it's nothing you really need to see.
Yeah. So with that, like I said, he had violence offense in front of children, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering, which comes from the text messages of asking the roommate not to talk to police and things like that. He is being held without bail. He's had some virtual court appearances, and the first one I seen where they read him his charges and everything, he was just so flat effect. I mean, he just stared at the camera, the video camera, and was just totally blank. No emotion, no nothing. He is under a protection order because, so that he doesn't hurt himself or others, because, he kind of hinted to that. Again, hinting, wanting to commit suicide and then not wanting to be shot by police is kind of a contradiction, if you ask me. So there's that. There's going to be federal charges. And again, as Vicky had mentioned, the DA, they are seeking the death penalty. Utah does have death penalty by firing squad. So they're really pushing that. So, will there be a plea deal, life imprisonment? Is there other people? I've heard a few things going around that there might be a group involved or another person. I don't know if that's accurate or true. I haven't researched more into that, whether or not he had help with that, but very, very serious charges. Again, I've heard, whether it's true or not, that his family has broken contact with him. They're not assisting him in any way. His father, I believe, is a retired police officer. And so he doesn't have a connection with his family with going through this either. I mean, that's got to be hard as a parent, of how you deal with your child that's done something like this. So with his charges, see if there's anything else. So a lot of, there's a lot of evidence against him. And so, to finish my thought there, so I don't know if they're going to offer him a plea deal for life imprisonment and take that death penalty off the table. It does not sound like it. It sounds like the DA and them are really pushing for that death penalty sentence. So we'll just have to see how all of that plays out in the future. So what is not yet in the public record or is unclear, more of, we've got his text messages and kind of his note he left, but really to sit down to see if he would open up to really see the whole picture of what was going through his mind as to why he felt this was why he had to do this. Um, I think Vicky, you mentioned that he is on some type of medication. We're not sure what kind of medication. If there was some type of mental illness, was it mental depression, antidepressant medication, or was it just antibiotics? We don't know. I haven't seen anything more on as far as if he had any mental health issues um, with that. Do you have anything to add?
No, because we don't know.
Yeah,
We just know that, he paid his mom or his mom paid him to get medication prescriptions. So
yeah,
could be anything.
yeah, yeah. And it's hard because um you've got this kid, you don't know what's going on through his mind. And it sounds like there was such a division. He's a young man, and that age, they want to break away from their parents and they perform their own thoughts and their opinions. And, because they're getting into that grown up age, and your kids do what they want to do. So from a parent standpoint, that's got to be really hard, and playing the blame game, like, did I do something wrong, or what did I do or didn't do, or why didn't I see this coming, type of scenario with that. But very, very sad situation. This young man, his life is over. Whether it's life in prison or the death penalty, I mean, he gave away his whole life with that decision. And like I said, what I mentioned earlier, from a human standpoint, it doesn't matter who it is. When somebody gets murdered, no matter what their thoughts, opinions, beliefs, any of that, it's wrong. It's wrong, no matter who or what or how or whatever. It's wrong, to think that you know that there would be let this kid, he's a kid in my opinion, to make that right in your mind.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever make that right.
Yeah, yeah. But that's all I have. Just kind of a quick update on the cases, and with Charlie Kirk, David, and Lincoln,
Laken.
and Tyler Robinson on his case, how that's going to fold in the future here. Like I said, if we get some big news, we will do kind of an update on these, and kind of letting um, know what we find out. And so you can draw your own conclusions and things like that with what's going on in the world, because it's crazy out there lately. It just really seems like it's just been one thing after another. I know we had planned on doing totally different cases, some updates on some cases, and then all of a sudden, all of this stuff started happening, and it's like, well, we probably should cover what's more current going on in the news.
The other thing that's current that just came out yesterday is that they have declared Travis Decker dead. And
Oh, yes.
yes, Travis Decker was the man who murdered his 3 daughters and then took off. They were camping or
Yes.
something. He took them out for camping and he murdered them. I believe it was like a custody issue with his wife.
Yes.
And he had some mental health issues. And so, she was always kind of like, no, you can't see the girls, or it has to be supervised. So he had this unsupervised visit, takes out camping to the woods, murders them, and then he runs.
He
He's
runs.
been on the run for 3 months.
Wow. I did see the presser, where the sheriff had given the update on it at the time when they had located these remains. At the time, they hadn't proved 100% that it was him, but based on the clothing and the items and all of that stuff, they had found that they believed that it was him. Um, but yeah, just, crazy.
Yep.
Just absolutely crazy. So that's all I have for today. Vicky, do you have any more for today, or any insights or upcoming things, or?
Nope, that's it for me. Sorry about that.
That's it for you. So, all right, friends, that's going to be a wrap up for today's episode of the Gavel Drop. We thank you so much for joining us and joining in the conversation, and we always appreciate you being here. If you like today's breakdown, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you'll be first to know when we drop the gavel on the next case. So until next time, take care, and we will see you soon.
See you next time, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.